Joe Girardi joins us now, who's actually in Philadelphia at the moment. Joe, good to see you. We have so many things to ask you about. I do want to begin on a bit of a serious note. Recently, 12 players and staff members combined of the Philadelphia Phillies tested positive for COVID-19. I'm sure you can't give us the names of the players, but have you checked in on these people? How are they doing?
Check in on regularly to make sure they're doing okay. And most of them, the symptoms have been very, very mild. But still, it's quarantine for 2 weeks. You have to be tested a number of times before you can come back. And then once you come back, you can't just dive right back in. So this is a serious matter. And I think there's a huge responsibility on our industry to make sure that we do things the right way and that we protect each other and that you follow the guidelines.
Hey, Joe, it's Harold here. You know, it's complicated, the guidelines. It's not as easy as most people think, is it?
No, because of the social distancing, and it's 6 feet every way, and you have to think about a clubhouse and how you run through 60 players through spring training and using different fields and transferring. And once they leave the facility, they have to come back in the facility and their temperature takes, and it's really complicated. The people that work at the stadium, the grounds crew, the training staff, a lot has been thrown on them, and they have to do it quickly. Because players can start showing up and being tested as early as Friday. Spring training can start as early as July 1st. The full squad can start July 3rd. So they have a lot to do.
Joe, it's Dan. Will you have to change your style of managing with this condensed 60-game version of a season?
Dan, you broke up, so would you ask the question again, please?
Will you have to change your managing style with an abbreviated 60-game schedule?
I think you have to do, but I think you also have to be careful, Dan, that understanding that, you think probably most about pitchers during this, and you're going to think about position players as well, but you can't start running relievers out a number of days in a row just because you're at the last 60 games and it's not a marathon, it's a sprint. So there's a fine line, I think, as managers that we walk to making sure that players aren't overused. I mean, you think about position players. How many games are they really going to play before they go into spring, into the regular season compared to normal spring training? So I think you're going to have to use the DH strategically to get them off their feet a little bit. Maybe you can keep a JT in the lineup more, a Bryce in the lineup more, McCutchen, who's coming off a knee injury, you can use more. We have Jay Bruce, who I think fits that mold pretty well. So I think there's a fine line that we walk as managers, because think about it. If you hurt someone or they go on the DL for 2 or 3 weeks, that could cost you your season. So, yes, we're going to manage a little bit different, but you better be really smart about it.
How will the Philadelphia Phillies, I don't know if you guys have made this decision yet, keep the taxi squad sharp? What facility are you going to use to keep these players who are just waiting? They don't have minor league baseball to play. They're waiting to get in and help their team.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and Lehigh Valley's close. Reading is close. And the thing is, they have to inter-squad. They have to get real live at-bats. Pitchers have to get, to where they're facing hitters and competing, but you're also not wearing them out. And I think you have to be strategic about that, where, you basically have another group of starters that are ready to go on the same day as your other starters in case someone gets sick or goes down. So there is much more thought into this than ever before as a season. But I think if we all put our heads together and we make sure that we are responsible when we're away from the field, I think we can do this.
And Joe, new team. So I'm curious, over 162 games, you figured different things out, know the organization, whatnot. You had a couple weeks of spring training. But I'm curious, how do you get to know strengths and weaknesses and how I can really run this guy out there or not?
Well, Harold, we were just kind of getting to the real competition stage where you were going to learn a lot about your players. I'm going to have to watch a ton of video and just take whatever we can get and rely on my coaches that were there in the past to get a really good feel about, and to me, I always think about the bullpen usage the most, and about starters and how they look, and when their stuff is good, how it looks, and when they're struggling, it's not. Hitters, you have a pretty good idea because you can look at a lot of matchups and look at those things. But when it comes to pitching, I'm going to have to rely on my coaches and just really pay attention, the next 3 weeks. It's unfortunate that we broke up because I thought I was getting a decent feel. but now we start all over again.
Yeah, I have to start all over again with almost a completely new
We haven't
look.
broke up.
No, not at all. But I do have a new look, and thank you, Joe, for supporting it. I do appreciate it.
I do like it, and I'm going to tell you, once the season starts, I think it's important that you shave it, and that's not because I believe in no facial hair. It's just I can't grow a beard, and I'm jealous.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you. Always very critical.
Joe's so nice.
He never holds back. Joe Girardi, we miss you, man. Thank you so much.
I miss you. It's great to see you guys on MLB Tonight. It's music to my ears.